we're gonna cover today.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Put that shit down.
We live at the Fire Nights podcast, man, and it's certain moments that you have when you do these things, and I think it's more the moment.
These guys came from Woodland, Delaware.
Where was you from?
Who's fighting right now? Who's fighting right now? Who's fighting right now? Who's
Man, it's your boy Matt, man. Fire Nights Podcast.
Let me see him.
Hey yo, this is the Experience, man. The Fire Nights Experience live as always live. The One Take Crew. This is a Sunday. No football today, but we still here. We still here to deliver. This is the pre-Super Bowl Sunday, the week before. Gather our thoughts. Yeah, I'm on the loser couch too, man. Not only that, man, I'm running out of nachos, man. So, you know, somebody, I think the last person to come on the couch, man, got to bring the nachos, man. You know, last person on the couch got to bring the nachos, man, and some Kool-Aid, man. Great flavor to be specific. The grape Kool-Aid, great, man, great. Love this music, man. But listen, let's get to it, man. This is the week before the Super Bowl. We had a 2-week layoff before. I like the 2-week layoff, to be honest with you, man. It gives a break into action. To me, it kind of gives off the feel of, you know, when they do take the field again, two fresh teams. I don't know. I think that I think this. I'd like 2 weeks. I don't like the Super Bowl the week after. Yo, what up, everybody, man? Y'all could be anywhere in the world, man, but y'all fucking with us, man. We appreciate it on your Sunday morning, man, before your breakfast or after your breakfast, before your brunch, during your brunch. We appreciate y'all fucking with us, man. It's Coach, my brother Freshco, man. We love y'all. We appreciate it, man. We just here to talk a little shit. You know what I mean? How you feeling today, bro?
I'm feeling good, man. You know, it's Sunday, man. It's a little it seems like there's a little void. There's nothing that, you know, to really place my money on today. It's nothing to really root for today in the football realm. You know, so today we feel like we'll fill a little bit of that void for you today. For some people who may want to get off some of the discuss in their teams or talk about the successes in their teams. You know, some of the things that they've seen in some players and some teams throughout the season. And, you know, this may be a time to, you know, purge a little bit, get it all off. And next week, you know, you just, you know, get in your Super Bowl mode, you know. So here we are, my guy, Coach. Here we are.
Man. I like the 2 weeks, man, because it extends it a little bit. And it's a little bittersweet. Like I said, I think it gives us two very fresh teams coming in the next week, even playing field. Oh, I see. How about them Dookies, though? Yeah. I mean, you haven't heard me say much about my Dookies, man. We're in a little bit of turmoil. I big victory last night over the fucking rival fucking Tar Heels. Go to hell, Carolina. Go to hell. My Dookies pulled it through. We finally cracked them. Big win for John Shire. He shook up the lineup a little bit, man. I like the changes in the lineup. That was in a year of kind of a down year for me, man. That felt good to knock off the pansy blue Tar Heels, man. I feel good about that. The better shade of blue won last night. So shout out to Duke Nation and the Brotherhood. We had some Brotherhood in the building. Look beautiful. That was nice, man, to send them home packing, man. And the way that it was done to send them home, I loved it, man. I watched it. I turned down a bet too, man. Seems like, man, I've been turning down bets lately, man, because when I bet, man, it's like my teams lose. I don't know. I don't know, man. I think my Rockets might be taking.
You think your Rockets might be tanking for Victor?
I don't know if they take it. They're just not that good. I think they're just not that good. That might not be a tank job, man. We're just not that good.
Okay, well,
ain't no tank job. This is a bad.
It's a lot of non-functional. It's a lot of non-functional parts out in Houston, man. I was really telling it was a huddle where this is the Houston Rockets in a nutshell. They call a timeout. They're arguing. There's a couple guys arguing amongst themselves. It's a couple guys arguing to the team, and Eric Gordon sitting on the bench like, get out of here. The nicest, most polite way. He's sitting there like, this has none of these ruckuses or fracases. None of this has anything with me. Please get me on the first thing out of here respectfully. It's kind of weird, man. It was like, Jalen Green was arguing with Kevin. Smith was arguing with Sandy. The coach was off to the side, kind of arguing with the coaches. The team was, the rest of the team that wasn't playing was like, we're not going to support anybody. And Eric Gordon was the oldest guy in the room, like, what is going on here? And this was a great encapsulation of Rockets team right now. It was crazy.
It was pure utter chaos, man. I know. Well, we got very mid coaching. I like the Silas kid as a young upstart coach. But when you're a young upstart coach, man, you're pretty much you're getting this hand dealt to you, man, and you've got literally nothing but young players. There's no leadership. Eric Gordon, I wouldn't necessarily peg him as leadership. He's a guy trying to get the hell out of there. So I mean, it's just utter chaos, and not that good, man. It's talented, but it's just not that good of a team, man. The pieces don't mesh well together. It's not coached very well. It's just a lot going on in Houston, and this is a scratch year for me, for my Rockets. It is what it is. It's just a scratch year. I don't know. It is what it is. I'm not even sure. I think we got to subtract some pieces, even if we do manage to. And I think the funny thing is, all this losing we doing, we still may not end up with Victor. We still may not end up with him.
Yo, that's one of the main things I try to point out to people when it comes to tanking or collectively putting forth a lesser than effort. You know what I'm saying? Like, there is no guarantee whatever you're tanking for will, come forth. You may not get the number one pick. As being a Sixers fan as I am, all the tanking that we did, we had the number one pick, a couple times. But that did not equate to the losing and the misery that was of the process. It was like, wow, you guys should be way better than what you are for all the intentional losing you're doing, because it doesn't guarantee that you will get the best guys. Even if you pick the best guys, it doesn't mean that they will pan out, i.e. Benjamin Simmons. You know what I'm saying? So all this losing on purpose, man, it really doesn't I'm not a loser on purpose. I'm not a fan of that anyway. But it does not ensure that you will actually get your prize in the end. So you might as well just go out there and try to win. You know what I'm saying? Even with what you got, you may suck and lose anyway, but go out there and create a winning culture so you don't just keep losing. And you're like, well, we used to lose it. We used to dysfunction. It's kind of hard to teach an old dog new tricks. You feel what I'm saying? Like,
some of the comments, man, they said Sixers passed on so many great players. I mean, in hindsight, I think probably the biggest miss we would probably say would be the Jason Tatum, Markelle Fultz thing. I mean, but other than that, I mean, they drafted the guys that, were highest on the board. They took a gamble on that one. So, I mean, I don't know. Hindsight is 2020. A lot of basketball news. My boy is at it again, man. I'm at the point where even I can't defend this shit. It's frustrating. I get it. It's business. You got to look out for yourself. But goddamn, man, like, I don't know, man. That really frustrated me because I don't like this era of basketball. I don't like some of the things. I'm not gonna say I don't like this era of basketball because I love basketball. I just don't like some of the tactics and shit that goes on nowadays. I mean, I'm torn because on one hand I do want to see the players. I love player empowerment, but at some point, man, it just gets fucking ridiculous, man. Like, come on, just finish the shit out, bro. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, okay. These guys, they should have the ability to play wherever they want, whenever they want. But it just creates so much fucking chaos, man. I just and everybody that knows me, man, knows I'm a Kyrie Irving fan. That's my number one guy on that. I mean, it's all Dookies as my guys. I love player empowerment, but what it creates is this chaotic. Nothing seems settled. Nothing seems settled at all. Like, you think something is set in stone, and then the next day you hear, all right, I want to be traded. And it's like, well, what the fuck? I mean, if you go back and look at it, you can kind of trace some of the breadcrumbs, but at a certain point, man, I'm like, I guess I got to let go of, being with a team for a certain period of time and just shutting up and actually playing. I don't know, man. I think, but that's a good point, man. I guess you could look, because just me, I'm a big perspective guy. On one perspective, he's actually giving the Nets the chance to get something back in return instead of just screwing them at the end of the year and just walking scot-free. He's giving them the opportunity to get something back. But I mean, I'm like, damn, like, what the fuck, man? Like, I don't know, man. It's just frustrating for me. This player improvement is good for the players, man. But as a fan, it's just chaotic, man. It's just so fucking chaotic and I don't know. It's like a rickety fucking bridge. I don't know. It is. It's like It's like walking on a rickety bridge, man. These dudes are so fragile tempered, and I don't know, man. It's just frustrating. Not because even I can't defend this shit. It's like, that's my guy. But I'm like, God damn, like, dude, like, come on, man. Like, just sit the fuck down, man, and play. Sit down and play. And how does this shit keep getting out? Like, okay, it's one thing to request a trade, but how does this shit keep getting out? Now it's like I can't even defend that you're not a distraction. You're literally a distraction, man. Period. You're a distraction.
Well, I mean, if you're looking at his track record, he's been a person, regardless of what he's done off the court, regardless of what he's done on the court, stat-wise, whatever. He's been a person that's going to have you questioning his commitment to basketball, professional basketball. Does he love to play the game? Yeah. I would assume there's millions of people who love to play the game of basketball. But do you understand what it means to be a professional basketball player? And with player empowerment, to be a professional basketball player, I think there's a fine line to where you are empowered and then where it gets gray to where you're necessarily not holding up your end of the bargain. You feel what I'm saying? And I think that's where you're talking about. It gets a little frustrating when you say, well, come on, dude. What do you want to do? You want to be here? Do you not want to be here? Do you want to play 82 games? Do you want to play 72 games? Do you want to fight for your people? What is going on here? Let us know. And when you talk about distractions, the thing here we are right here, Kyrie Irving was playing some of the best basketball of the season, maybe even his career, some would say, in the last couple months or whatever, ever since KD went down. And there was been no distractions. It seemed like him and the Nets were in a very good place. And it just seemed like when everything was good, it was like, things too quiet. Let me flip over the whole board. And it's like, here we go again.
Do you think some of this is my value is? Do you think it's his value is extremely high right now? And part of it is, well, I didn't forget, Josiah, how you tried to fuck me. So let me get the fuck out of here now. I don't know. It's a lot of shit going on.
Well,
honestly, like I said, that's my guy. I've kind of like, I gotta go back to it. I gotta go back to it because to me,
I'm just saying, like,
shit.
As far as him asking for a trade, I'm like, that's pretty professional. I'm not. That's the part of player empowerment and player movement and owning what you want to do with your career.
Let's go.
You feel me? In that part, I'm saying that's all good. But at the same time, I'm saying with you not showing up to work, sore calf. Come on, dude. Who's investing years $200 million guaranteed into that? Coupled with on top of your whole rest of your history of you doing things of this nature. What are you not seeing? Why are you so self-aware that these things hurt you? These things continue to cripple and continue to shape the narrative that Kyrie Irving is a guy you can't fully trust. He's not all into professional basketball. I'm not saying that's what
I disagree with that.
That's what it is because that's what he's
disagree with that whole you can't trust them thing because unfortunately he's very astute in terms of his value and things of that nature. He's a top tier basketball player. The part about can't trust him, you can't trust him just like the players can't trust the management. So that's a great point that one of the viewers made. You know what I mean? There's no loyalty either way. So the fact that you can't trust them, I don't know about that rings true, but I think this is where the player empowerment thing kind of, I don't know. It's weird because what you have here is a lot of temporary shit. Everything's temporary. Nothing's long-term. Everything's temporary. It's literally year by year now. And that's frustrating as a fan because of how, the player empowerment movement has progressed and the players realizing their power. It is literally yearly. And matter of fact, I'm going to go even as far as to say, not even year to year, it's trade deadline to trade deadline. Trade deadline to trade deadline. And guys are treating this, man, like glorify AAU. It's just crazy. It's just going to take some getting used to. I'm still not used to it. Some people say he's trying to get to LA. Well, of course he's trying to get to LA because how much fucking more help does LeBron James need? I mean, why is it his fucking God-given right to always, whenever a top player comes up, oh, he's going to LA? What? Bro, what? Like, what is it with this LeBron? Like, why does this motherfucker need every play? Dog. I would assume God-given right to win a championship every fucking year. Every player that becomes available, I'll put him with LeBron James.
I'm pretty neutral. I'm pretty neutral on this argument, but just to make an opposite argument, I do understand where people come from. Like, it's not his birthright to have help all the time. What I will say in defense of that. And like I said, I'm pretty neutral on this. I'm like, man, look, man, you got who you got. What I will say is LeBron to me, he's continually ended up on teams that has had either lesser than talent or the talent that, the higher end talent that he has had has either been hurt, injured, unavailable.
Wait. Let me interject. No.
Okay.
This is the cycle. LeBron James needs help. They get LeBron James help. The help underperforms. LeBron James needs help.
That's fair. I'm just saying.
And the cycle repeats itself. And the cycle continues to repeat itself. LeBron James needs help.
Yeah.
The help underperforms or the team underperforms. And it's never LeBron James. It's always he needs help. Well, goddamn, how much help do you need, bro? Why do you always need help? Why can't Giannis need help or Luka need help?
Now that's fair. I mean, I think Luka is much more worthy of help than probably
because
anybody.
That's what I do every week. I watch this shit every week. This can't be your first time watching this show. I watch this shit talking about football, basketball, hockey, soccer, college basketball. That's what I do.
Yeah.
That answers your question.
To piggyback
I'm never
on your
not
point,
repping. Period. I'm never not repping.
To piggyback on your point, you've had flavors. You've had jerseys. You've had different sports memorabilia. You've had different RIP of the Washington Commanders. Every week, I don't think you've worn nothing but Washington on Sundays.
LeBron is the system. LeBron is and that's crazy because a lot of people don't realize how hard it is to play with that motherfucker, man. It is very hard to play with him. That's evidenced by how much success guys have when they don't play with him. It's hard. Well, I'm not going to lay that at his feet. Let me retrace that. It's very difficult to play with a very ball dominant guy like that. So I don't want to put that just on LeBron James. It's very difficult to play with a ball dominant guy like that. It's going to be very difficult for a guy to play with Giannis. I mean, I'm not Giannis. I'm sorry, Luka. It's going to be very hard for a guy to play with Luka. When you have those types of players, ball dominant guys who are not off ball scorers or really aren't great off the ball, it's going to be difficult because every time you go play with one of those guys, especially if you're a guard, you're going to have to lose some of your ball responsibilities. And another ball dominant guy playing with him just isn't going to work. As evidenced by, they move Russ to the bench. I'm not an advocate of Russell Westbrook, but Jesus Christ, they move Russ to the bench. They move Russ to the bench because it just, you know what I mean? It's hard playing with a guy like that, man. It's hard.
Let me say this.
I've never been a fan of a ball dominant scorer who's got the ball 75% of the time for your team to be successful like that. It's very hard for other guys to get off like that.
Well, to be on the other side of that argument, to be on the other, LeBron just passed, I want to say, Steve Nash or somebody, John Stockton, somebody. No, not John Stockton. Somebody to go into like 6 for assists all time. He's about to pass Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for all-time points. I'm pretty sure he will fall, if he's not already, in the top 10 in rebounds for his career. The man is probably the ultimate weapon. If there was one person who you want the ball in their hands all the time, it would be LeBron James. Like we always had the argument, or you always said, like, yo, I want so-and-so taking the last shot or so-and-so. I was like, look, I don't really care who takes the last shot. Give the ball to LeBron and I'm okay with whatever decision he makes.
I have no problem either way, because I think if you put 4 other professionals around him, if I kick the ball to you and for an open shot, you're in that position for a reason. So I believe as a professional, I believe you can make that open shot. You know what I mean? So I don't have a problem with either of those ideologies.
Right. And that's what I'm saying when I'm looking at the actual play in the game in the micro. Actually, LeBron James would be someone who would attract just as much attention as anyone when he drove to the lane. So when he kicked you in the corner, when he kicks you in the wing, when he kicks to a cutter, you're even that much more open, because that was LeBron James going to the bucket. And now it seems he's probably going to be a little bit more reticent to pass the ball because he hasn't been getting the calls. And it's like, okay, well, when I go to the bucket, I don't get the calls. When I pass, but he's making the right basketball decision.
Right.
I'm like, okay, well, I'm okay with that every time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm okay with that every time, man.
I ain't got no problem.
I'm turning into, like they say, a make or miss league. Look, if you get Chris Bosh wide open for a corner three, we're gonna take that. If he misses,
he's supposed to hit that. He's supposed to hit that. But yeah, under one of the comments they chimed in, under that, Kobe and Jordan would have had a very difficult time winning the title had they not met Phil Jackson and conformed to the triangle. LeBron won his way, but would have won more had he had something to be conformed to. In other words, more of a system. I think LeBron James, honestly, is probably, like you said early, as less dependent on a system as any possible superstar, because the triangle actually unlocked Jordan because you couldn't double and triple team him as easily in that triangle because of the different spots that Phil Jackson had him in. LeBron James is just naturally, quote unquote, he's more Magic Johnson in the standpoint of he's going to get guys shots. Those guys don't have the opportunities to be superstars, but he's going to get other guys shots. So, maybe had he been in, let's say, San Antonio, LeBron in San Antonio, maybe it would have probably lessened the load that he would have had because Pop would have made sure that there's certain guys around him that take a piece from him here, a piece from him here, and a piece from him here. So maybe he only has to focus on one thing and be great at one or two things instead of being this utility knife, this Swiss Army knife, or this, all-purpose basketball player. So, I mean, it's a lot to take in there. Systems help, but I think some people don't necessarily need systems. LeBron, if I was to say anybody that doesn't need a system, LeBron is one of those guys that maybe he doesn't need a system, but I think it could have helped him. It could have helped him. I would have loved to have seen him under one of the great coaches and would have had more structure for him to play in. It would have been interesting, but I mean, his legacy is incredible without it. He didn't need it, to be honest with you. So, and that's the thing that makes you mad about, every time he needs help. Dude, the one thing about this league is this. He doesn't have any advantages or disadvantages than any other team playing, right? He can get players, and, people always say, oh, it's management, man. No, once you get LeBron James, you have to get players, period. All right? That's just the bottom line. When you get any superstar, you have to surround him with players. I don't necessarily know if they have to be superstar players, but you got to surround them with complementary pieces. Sometimes those complementary pieces and the superstar can't get it done. That's okay. Everybody loses. Everybody falls short. There's no perfect athlete. But when it comes to him, why is it always, oh, man, when he wins, it's he drugged the team here and did this. But when they lose, it's never him. Whereas with other superstars, when they lose, it's solely on them. On them.
Now,
it's weird, man. It's just weird.
To me, good brother, that's a fair assessment. That's a fair assessment of LeBron James. It's not really. I'm always a person. Look, man, you got who you got. You play with who you play with, and I'm usually an advocate for LeBron James and him dragging. Not necessarily dragging because people are professionals, but him taking lesser than talent a little bit further. You know what I'm saying? I always said he's always outpunched his weight class. He's always his team's a little bit further. But I always say, look, man, you have who you have. You feel what I'm saying? You have who you have. You can't be, oh, man, look, man, we need, it would be nice if you can go get Kevin Durant and Stephen Curry and, you know what I'm saying? It would be nice if you can go get all these players, but you can't. You have who you have. So now you can't cry about it. You can't be worried about, oh, well, we need this, we need that. Look, man, go and take the guys that you have right now on your team while the season is started, and it is what it is. You can't. It can't always be, we need this, we need that. Look, everybody needs everything. People in hell need ice water. What the fuck? You feel what I'm saying? What the fuck? Man, can we just get out here and play? The man has who he has. Can people stop heaping on he needs help? He has who he has. He got who he got. These are all professionally gifted, talented, professional basketball players. Let them fucking play. Throw the ball up. Let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay, man. Like, I mean, if he fails, it's okay. His legacy doesn't need to be supported by all the excuses and all of the trade scenarios and it just doesn't. His legacy is impeccable, and it doesn't need it. I just think it cheapens his legacy when all that happens. He's about to accomplish something incredible, man. How do you feel about him about to pass the all-time scoring leader Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and become the NBA's all-time scoring leader?
Well, I heard someone say, man, this was someone else. This would be more talked about. And I said, you know what, man, I kind of echo the same sentiments. This man is about to pass Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who some say is arguably the greatest basketball.
How long Kareem had that thing? Kareem's had that thing, what, 30 years now?
Since 84. Okay. So roughly about 30 years. You know what I'm saying? And like I alluded to earlier, he's top at least 10. I want to say 6 in assists. I'm going to say he's at least top 10 or will fall in top 10 in rebounds. For this man to be breaking and having all these, man, people just say, oh, well, he's been around forever. And always push back. Man, there has been people that's been around 20 years, but they have not amassed what he has amassed. You know, that goes to say, man, that he's been great for a very long fucking time. Not just
elite.
Good.
He's been elite for a very long time.
He's been elite for a very long fucking time. You know, people, they say all the people in the top 10 of rebounds, okay, well, they're elite rebounders. All right, well, I guess he's that. You feel what I'm saying? Well, the guys who are top 10 assist makers. He's top 10 in that. Well, I guess he's elite in that. He's getting ready to pass Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You know, I mean, at some point, all that this man is doing has to weigh a little bit more heavily in the GOAT conversation. That is what I'm saying about.
Okay, so since you opened that can of worms, for you, it sounds like this is making him the GOAT. Is that where you going with it? Is that how you feel?
Nah, well, my personal opinion of who the GOAT is a little different. But what I'm just saying, for the general conversation of him being in the GOAT, you know, being the GOAT, you know what people say. I think people downplay all of this shit that he has amassed. Mm-hmm. Like, he's just breaking another record. Oh, he's LeBron James, and I'm like,
the sheer gravity of the different categories of totals that he's amassed. So yeah, absolutely, it's impressive, man. He's without a doubt, he's definitely offensively the most versatile player that I think the game has ever seen. He's probably the most versatile basketball player offensively we've ever seen. But when we're talking about the GOAT conversation, that's a whole different convo, because my thing is this: totals don't necessarily make that for me, because there's a lot that goes into that. Emmitt Smith has more rushing yards than Barry Sanders. I don't think Emmitt Smith's a better running back. John Stockton has more steals and assists than Magic Johnson. I don't think John Stockton's a better point guard than Magic Johnson. Although, you know how I love John Stockton. I think John Stockton is probably the most underrated basketball player. I think he's probably the poster child for the 90s and 80s and what they quote unquote labeled that as playing against plumbers, because he's not physically dominant. When you look at him, he probably looks like the postman. But yeah, I'm a John Stockton fan, because, you know, he's thwarted my team so many times. Totals don't necessarily mean you're greater. It's part of your argument. Absolutely. That is part of, because when you're talking about GOAT, that only involves a handful of guys. So when you have those sorts of totals, absolutely is part of argument. Now, for another person, they may look at that and say, oh, well, that sways it for me. That's it. And I respect that. But you know, there's different criteria. I think until we get to a point where we can all agree on what the criteria is, which we'll never do, because it's hard to, if we're going to be honest, it's going to be hard for Jordan fans to just say, okay, well, that matters more because that's not their guy. And it's going to be hard for LeBron James fans to get off of the 6 rings and the total MVP count and all that stuff because that's not their guy. You know what I mean? Everybody, it's both sides make arguments, but when you really extrapolate the arguments, there's always something that contradicts that argument. So you can't even use it. You know what I mean? Until we can agree on what the criteria is, and I don't even know if there will, we ain't not going to agree on what that criteria is. Just the fact that someone has done enough to get into the conversation to challenge MJ, that's impressive to me because there is a challenge there. There is a case. Absolutely, right. There is a case. There's no question there's a case. If someone tells me LBJ is not in the case for the greatest of all time, is out of their rabbit-ass mind. Out of their rabbit-ass mind. He is absolutely on the short list of greatest basketball players of all time. Period. That's just, I don't care who you are. And I'm not a LBJ guy per se. I'm just more of a Jordan guy. But I appreciate what LBJ has done. Without a doubt, it is impressive. He has feats that Jordan doesn't have. He has what I want to say, accomplishments and things of that nature, and he's done things that MJ hasn't done. So I appreciate that. It's incredible. We got a comment. We got every athlete plays their sport to simply be put in a discussion, and LeBron has done enough to be in that discussion, and that's all that matters. Absolutely, yes. That's all that really matters. You know, whether you feel as though he is or not. Hey,
You brought up something, and this is how I kind of see it. You brought up something, and I was like, that was a fair assessment, but this is how I kind of framed that kind of argument. You brought up Emmitt Smith being the rushing leader, but he's not the greatest running back. And I would say that's a fair assessment. You know, a lot of people wouldn't say that he's the greatest running back. He has the rushing record, but a lot of people wouldn't say that he's the greatest running back. But let's just say that, okay, well, LeBron James is on his way to having the most rushing yards. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That's Emmitt Smith. Now, let's go on. Let's move on to receiving. That's Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice got all that shit wrapped up. This and that, blah, blah, blah. Now, if Emmitt Smith had, let's say, Terrell Owens' receiving yards, mm-hmm. that would be impressive on top of Emmitt Smith's rushing yards. And then let's go to a third category, and let's say, who is everyone say Drew Brees or whoever has, I'm not sure who has the most passing yards. But let's just say LeBron
if he was top 5, if he was top 5 in touchdowns. You top 10 in receiving yards, top 5 in touchdowns, number 1 in rushing yards. I get it. I get where you're going. The totality of the different different categories.
Wow. You have done something that great people can exceed in 1 or maybe 2 of those categories. Mm-hmm. You feel what I'm saying? You have exceeded at an elite level in 3 of these categories. Probably even 4 or 5. I'm just giving them the big 3. You feel what I'm saying? I'm like, people really undervalue that. And I'm like looking at that in that kind of way. I'm like, that there alone should be a very strong argument. I ain't saying it's the linchpin, but a very strong argument for LeBron being the GOAT. Because, like, if you're looking at it, in, like you said, this guy is doing things like, whoa, John Stockton was a great assist guy. Great, number 1. And steals. That's nothing to be, teased at. I would assume that LeBron is probably somewhere sniffing around the top 10 in that as well. in the all-time steals. So it's like, when you're elite in all of these things, to me, I'm like, that's a very, very, very strong argument for being the GOAT.
I can dig it. I'm not even, I wouldn't even, because that conversation can go on for hours. So I'm not arguing that. You ain't got to beat me over the head. I respect that because it's part of his argument and part of his legacy. And it makes sense. Not to say that it doesn't make sense. It makes sense. It makes sense. I can't argue that. That's a valid fact, a valid point. You know what I mean? Valid points can be made for multiple guys on multiple levels all day long. So, I mean, it's impressive. LeBron James will be number 1 in points and is number 4 in assists. That is impressive. That's like I said, he is probably the greatest offensive weapon. He is the greatest offensive weapon we have ever seen in terms of just sheer offensive output. period. Steph Curry, I would
I think
say,
that's fair. I think
plays the
that's fair.
game different and is probably the scariest guy just from the way he changes defenses. But LeBron James is probably, from a production standpoint, the most productive offensive player that we've ever seen, just from a production standpoint. Now, my only thing is that I think when people make that argument, when people discuss him and Jordan, they only consider that side of the ball. I think Jordan's relevance and Jordan's excellence on both sides of the ball is a relevant argument for him because he is one of the greatest defenders of all time. But, defense is not a glamorous thing, but it's part of the game. And I'll tell you why it's part of the game. Because you know why LeBron James, the Lakers are so bad as opposed to where LeBron James used to be early in his career? Because he can't affect the game on the defensive side of the ball like he used to. It's different when you're causing all this havoc on offense. And then not only that, you're a rim protector on the other side of the basket. So whether you're only getting a block and a half a game, you're still a deterrent because of your weak side help and your ability to get to the rim and protect shots, your ability to fill passing lanes and get steals. Those are extra possessions that you garner for your team. You're affecting the game on the defensive side. You're shutting another player down. So if I'm giving you this maximum output on offense, but I'm also limiting the other team's best offensive player to the point where he's not getting his 29 a game, he's only getting 22, and it's a bad 22, that's the key. That's a big key. So Michael Jordan was able to do that for an extended period of time, pretty much until the end of his career. LeBron James has tailed off on the defensive end. And you can see it in the success of the Lakers. He can't affect the game on the defensive end. The only thing he can do is now, from an offensive standpoint, is give you that same production, maybe a notch down, a hair if we counting, if we microscoping this thing, if we using a microscopic lens, it's a hair down. But the drop on the other side of the ball, which is what we don't look at that side. That's the difference. That's the difference. The fact that he can't now take the best offensive player on the other team and make it rough for him while maintaining that offensive production. That's big, and I think a lot of people don't see that. Jordan's a fiercer competitor. I think I agree with that from the standpoint, the lens of, I get where you're going with that, but I don't want to take away from LeBron James and say that he's not a dog. That dude's a dog. He's gone through way too much. He's heard way too much. When you hear that for the first 4 or 5 years of your career and you start to get doubts, you're going to take them shots. And he's delivered time and time again. If you're asking me who's more of a competitor, I'm going to say Jordan, but LeBron James is, okay, you got Bird, Kobe, Jordan, those type of competitors. LeBron is a hellified competitor too. Not cutthroat, let's say elite 99 Madden, you know what I mean? But I'm still going to give him a 90 in competitiveness.
Allen Iverson was a hell of a competitor.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
you talking that fierceness, man, that do or die mentality. LeBron James developed it. It's just a different type. When you look at a guy like him and Magic, you know what I mean? You don't see a lot of the same things you see with Jordan and Kobe and Iverson, those dead locked in off ball scores, because Magic and LeBron typically facilitated more for their teammates more. So that doesn't give off the appearance of that aggression and that aggressive.
Right.
But you don't get to this kind of totals without being a hellified scorer and aggressive and being a fierce competitor. You don't. I get where you're going. I get it. I get where you're going. But when you have, like, I guess the love and affinity with Mike, it's either that or nothing. And that's not the case. It's not. Either you as a competitor like Mike or nothing. Either you as a competitor like Bird or nothing. Either you as a competitor like Kobe or nothing. And that's not the way it should be. It's not, Magic Johnson and Larry Bird walking to the center of the court, Magic extending his hand and Bird turning around, that kind of shit. Like, when we think of competitiveness, we think of that kind of shit. But at the end of the day, Magic cut Bird heart out a lot of times. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Cut his heart out. That didn't mean Magic was less of a competitor. When you look at a lot of the documentaries and everything and a lot of the shit, Magic was just as much of a competitor as Bird. It just didn't come off as sinister as Larry Bird's did. You know what I mean? He wasn't walking up and down the opposing bench talking about who guarded me. I'm gonna give you 50 with my left hand. He just wasn't doing shit like that.
Right. But he would definitely cut your heart out, you know. And that was the thing that you don't get to you can't play against killers and not kill yourself. It may look a little different on the surface, but inside you can't beat a Larry Bird being a passive hummingbird. You feel what I'm saying? You can't beat a Magic Johnson being a flamingo. You have to be a fucking condor. You have to be a fucking eagle, a fucking killer, man. You're not going out there and beating these. Look, man, there's a very, very poignant picture or incident that happened between the Sixers and the Celtics. Larry Bird was busting my personal idol's ass, Dr. J's ass. It was up. It was going crazy. I want to say he was even preseason. But the competitiveness was so crazy, man, that Moses Malone jumped on motherfucking Larry Bird's back and punched, and Dr. J punched motherfucking whop, whop, whop 3 times to Larry Bird because he's not fucking playing with Dr. J. I'm not playing with none of you motherfuckers, man. I'm Larry fucking Bird. I came to fucking kill you. I don't give a fuck what game we playing. I came to fucking win it, and you going to hear about it. If you are not a killer yourself, how the fuck you think you're going to come up and oppose that mentality? Please.
Okay, so I'm gonna throw some examples out there, right? Because all right, so I'm gonna answer this question. Top 3 trash talkers: MJ, Bird, Magic. I'm gonna say that Kevin Garnett outpaced Magic. No question about it. Kevin Garnett was unabashedly top 3 trash talkers ever. Period. Kevin Garnett was disrespectful. He was constant. He was aggressive. He was intimidating with it. No, Magic is not on that level. No, not right. Magic wasn't disrespectful with Kevin Garnett was disrespectful. Kevin Garnett was disrespectful.
Villanueva. And shout out to my man Charles Villanueva. But when he said, "Yo, man, you out here looking like a cancer patient," it's like, "Wow, you're really going there, man." It was like, "Yeah," and he tried to clean it up.
I mean, this man is said Kevin Garnett is notorious. Him, Gary Payton is another one. Gary Payton is. If we talking trash talk, if we talking trash talk, trash. So let me give you an example. Okay, so let me give you an example. Kevin Garnett, Tim Duncan, right? As much shit as Kevin Garnett talked, couldn't rattle Tim Duncan. Couldn't rattle Tim Duncan. There is a certain competitiveness in that. No matter how much shit you gonna talk to me, I'm gonna keep busting your ass. I'm gonna keep busting your ass because at the end of the day, and then I'm gonna give you a pat on the back. Good game.
Mm-hmm. Good game.
Good game. That's silent demoralization. That's silent demoralization. They ain't gonna say a word to you. This gonna dog you consistently, game in and game out. Good game, fella.
Good game.
New approach. Come with a new approach next time.
Yeah.
Come with a new approach. I'm gonna give you another example. And this one's gonna hit even closer to home. Two guys we all know and love. Friends of the show. Go Talk's own, Doc and L. Nobody gonna sit here and tell me that there were two more competitive guys than that. But you know what they'll both say? There's another guy out there who didn't say a fucking word. Ralph Blaylock wouldn't say a fucking word to you. Straight killer. Or are we gonna say Ralph not? Are we gonna say Ralph not a fierce competitor? We can't say Ralph not a fierce competitor. Ask the dudes that played against him.
I know what you couldn't do, rattling. I'm just
Couldn't
keep giving
rattle.
you all these buckets. I'm just keep giving you buckets.
And he was from where they was
After
from.
bucket. Yeah,
He
man.
was from where they was from.
Yeah, man.
And listen,
you keep talking, I'll keep scoring.
It's you know what it is. You know what it is. When we look at Doc and we look at L, it was their passion and their leadership and how it showed up on the court. They were demonstrative in how they did it. You know what I'm saying? So
Especially more L than court.
Yeah, but you know, Doc was, you know, Doc was like that too. You know, it's just plus L just looked like a mean motherfucker. L was a scary motherfucker on the court back then. Running around, man. That big athletic motherfucker running around, man. He had that scowl, man. L was fucking the junkyard dog, man. He was the junkyard dog. He was a scary guy on the court, man. He was running around and scowling all the time, man. He just had that passion and that dog, man, and it just came off different.
Yeah, man. Shout out L, man. Shout out L and Doc, man. Shout out L and Doc, man.
Doc was the same way. It just came off different, man. They were different kind of guys, and they were leaders physically, vocally. You know what I mean? They were those kind of leaders. Whereas Ralph was one of them. Hey, man, get on my back. I got this shit.
Right.
I got it. Get on my back. Move it. Fuck out the way.
Don't even sweat it.
I got it.
Now, I don't think he cuss like that, bro. I got this, guys. I got this, guys. I don't even think he cuss like that. I got this, guys.
That's a big point. Yeah, his failures molded it. And you know what? I'm glad you said that. Circumstances can change your argument. LeBron had the weight of the world on his shoulders, and he was, in the eyes of the media, his failures molded the dog in him. It's just different. That is his story. The story is beautiful. His story is the triumphs outweigh the failures. What we always try to do is we try to fucking pad the situation for him to dilute the story. The story is beautiful. He became who he is because of all that weight. There's nobody in the history of the game that came in with more expectations than that dude. And he obliterated the expectations.
Yeah.
Obliterated the expectations to the point where he won. It was even more gratifying when he won. It was even more. And then not only that, he picked this spot, right? Which, of course, a lot of people didn't like. You know, nobody liked it when he went to Miami. He failed when he got there. But God damn it, the story writes itself, man. He comes right back the next year and wins it. And then wins the next one. Well, I'm going to say this. I don't think he was labeled the chosen one too early because ever since, I'll tell you this. This is what I'll say. This all derived from Dr. J, right? Because Dr. J, to me, was the first significant pitch man, right? Whereas he could cross lines, he was box office, he was corporate. So the league chased that. Magic Johnson and Bird came and delivered that again. Oh, word, bet. This is what we could do with an athlete. Jordan came, pushed it to the stratosphere. So from then on, we've had chosen ones. There's been a lot of chosen ones. Think about it. There's been a lot of chosen ones. Vince Carter was a chosen one. Grant Hill was a chosen one. There's been a lot of chosen ones. We've had a lot of chosen ones. Some have failed. Some have failed miserably. J.R. Ryder has failed miserably. Harold Miner failed miserably. We've had a lot of guys who they quote unquote wanted to be in that image and carry it further. This kid took that chosen one moniker, and not only did he embrace it, well, he had no choice, but he embraced it, took it to another level. Because at the end of the day, that in conjunction with the social media age just made him an even bigger star, because now everybody had an opinion and you could see it instantly. So his triumphs were incredible because we couldn't pick Michael Jordan apart like that. We couldn't pick him apart daily. People picked him apart, but we couldn't read it. And you didn't know your sentiment rung the same as millions of others. You didn't know that your sentiment rung just like everybody else, because back then they could have very well poked holes in MJ. Back then he didn't have that. Actually, he had the benefit of social media not being around to be able to poke those kinds of holes in his legacy at every single step of the way. Every step of the way. He got some of it, but it wasn't to the level of, the one thing social media has done is it has put us all in touch with each other. So I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking, right? The news media can spin something and they can put a headline up, but it's different when I can see somebody on Twitter, thousands and thousands of people typing the same sentiment I'm typing. A story is a story, but social media puts feeling into the opinions. Now you know. Now you know. Oh man. Oh, I didn't know millions of people felt that way. Oh man. Okay. So now it makes your assent a little different. It makes your, and then not only that, you got to read that. So LeBron James has had to read that. That's tough. That's tough. That's tough, man.
I've always thought that LeBron James, besides Ferdinand Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, those were probably the two most ballyhoo prospects I've ever even heard of. I mean, I wasn't around for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's coordination and everything, but LeBron James, I was pretty much right there front and center. And like you said, there have been a lot of chosen ones, and not even just on a professional level. We've chosen people at high school, college, the next one, the guy now, but he was the one chosen, like, nah, we choosing him in high school, but not for high school. We're choosing him for, he's the next professional guy to take it there. And I always thought that, I said, man, everything he's got, bestowed to him, with all the things that he's done, he's always outpunched his weight class. And for the things that he's delivered on in his career, I'm like, there's been a lot of people who have been ballyhooed and touted as a lot of things. I think that he is either one or at least 1A. And when you come to what people had expected of them to what they actually accomplished. A lot of us thought that LeBron James could be a great basketball player. We thought a lot of people out here could be great basketball players, high school, college, professionally. LeBron James has come and overdone, overpromised, overdelivered on all the hype, all the scrutiny, all the expectations. He's done all of that. I'm like, wow, everything that was heaped upon him, like I always say, man, some people get stuff heaped upon them and they haven't earned anything. He earned everything that was heaped upon him and then some for the way he's delivered in his career. There's been people that has equaled their expectations. He has out-delivered because he's been the chosen one from 17 years old. And he is out. He was the chosen one. He is the best, very best player, arguably, ever. He is the best player since Michael Jordan. So it's like when you talk about those type of things, it's just, I just think they get kind of overlooked in how great he's been, but we've always thought that he's going to be this great, and it's just kind of like ho-hum. That's what it's kind of like it's kind of like ho-hum. He's actually lived up to our expectations. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like, wow, we think a lot of people, people's names like Felipe Lopez names come to my mind.
God, yeah, wow. Yo.
You know what I'm saying? Like, these people like a Sweet Pea Lloyd Daniels comes to mind. You feel what I'm saying? These are people that was can't misses. And, just they had all the talent and just like, okay, well, they like this guy can play or Omar, the Omar Cooks of the world, if I'm not mistaken. The Lenny Cooks. And it's like, come on, man,
That's ironic. That's ironic because, unfortunately, Lenny got in the way of that shooting star, man, and just.
Shea Cotton,
another one. Shay's another cautionary tale. A lot of them, man. It's a
Right,
lot
and
of
it's a lot of people. You know, that's what I'm saying. A lot of for him to be heaped that much on at that time, we was heaping a lot on a lot of people. That's what I'm saying. And like for him to outkick the coverage, damn man, you know what I'm saying? Like
whoever called him the chosen one was right. You were right. You were 100. You were 200% right because he's delivered, and that needs to be said because that's an accomplishment in itself. Following, because think about this though, because Jordan followed in the footsteps of Dr. J, right? And exceeded that. James followed in the footsteps, and let's not forget Kobe, because Kobe followed in the footsteps of Jordan, and I don't want to say he exceeded it, but then did a damn good job, man, of carrying that. And to have LeBron James exceed that, impressive, man. Impressive.
Yeah, man.
Very impressive.
That's hard to do, man, especially in this day and time, man. Where it's hard, man. It's hard to be that globally significant, that globally successful. It's hard, man. You know, so many people are successful these days. I'm not saying it doesn't take much, but there are so many people that reach the bar of success. It just takes so much more in today's day and age to be that culturally significant, man. To me,
I pose a question to you. I got a good question for you. It's just food for thought. It might be a rhetorical question. Think about this. What is the next guy going to have to do?
Man. Well,
he might have to play 1-on-5.
well, here's the thing, man. Truthfully, I think going forward, the bar will be lower to what he will have to do. I don't think
that's interesting.
Truthfully, I think in today's age, man, I think to become a LeBron James, to become a Michael Jordan, I don't think there'll be another Michael Jordan. And I think it's just going to progressively come down. Like, I don't think there's going to be another Michael Jackson. It's just because there's so many, it's going to take something out of this world that I haven't seen before, that I can't describe right now, to overtake what LeBron James and what Magic Johnson and what Michael Jordan and what Dr. J and Kobe Bryant, to go further than what they have done. It's going to be something I can't.
There's be a guy that plays 1-on-5, man. I'm telling you, you got to play 1-on-5. That's, to me, that's how high the bar is. You got to play 1-on-5.
And that's what I'm saying. The bar is high on so many levels. You can't just have LeBron stats without having Jordan chips. You feel what I'm saying? Like, what kind of monster would we be seeing out here?
I feel sorry for Victor. I feel sorry for Victor Wembanyama, man. I feel sorry for him.
And that's what I'm saying. To answer your question going forward, I think the bar will be lower to what you would have to accomplish to be considered, or to be, to what you like. I would think. I put it like this: for what LeBron has done, nobody's doing that. So, but I think there will be people who will value and equal what people have done on the level of what LeBron has done. Like, oh, he's in the GOAT conversation. And then people will be like, oh, man, you ain't see LeBron. Like, man, look, man, this guy just won 2 championships back to back. Nobody's done that since LeBron. You feel what I'm saying? So the bar will be lower. And me, I'm kind of hard on that kind of stuff. I'm like, man, well, I won't be giving you those flowers. I mean, I'll give you your flowers. I won't be giving you LeBron-type flowers. I won't be giving you Michael Jordan-type flowers. I'll be giving you
until you're forced to.
Until I'm forced to. But like I said, what are you going to have to do to be in that conversation? I actually just think people will lower the bar so to have more people in the conversation. But you're going to have to do what LeBron did statistically and what Jordan did championshiply, if that's a word. You know what I'm saying?
From a winning perspective, yeah. From right. the winning in the numbers.
Yeah, because those are the two people having to go conversation right now, and you throw Kareem in it, you throw Kobe in it, man, dog, I don't know what the fuck you gonna have to do to get in that conversation except have the floor.
Good luck, Victor, man. You walking into some shit, man. But I'll say this, Victor is walking into an NBA that is much different than the NBA that even LeBron James walked into. Because the NBA is much different 20 years ago than when he stepped into the league. It's a much, much much more player-friendly NBA from the standpoint of he now has the blueprint of the European player and how to succeed. He's playing against pros now, and that seems to be the blueprint over there. Before you send the guy here, he's more equipped to play. The league is much more entertainment friendly and a much free-flowing game, which would benefit Victor and his skill set. But man, just to think, extrapolate his career out to 25 years, it blows my mind to wonder, you know. We got the comment, the environment will lower the bar because the world changes, the minds of the players changes, things are being dumped down around us. That's a good point. I mean, it's everything changed. Who knows? The league may change again. I don't know what you want to get into that. Is that what you want to do? Is that what you're trying to tell me? You want to get into that?
No. That was.
You want to get into that?
Here's your point, bro.
Let's get it. Let's get into it. How do you feel about your Sixers, man? Let's get into it. How do you feel about your Sixers?
I feel pretty good about my Sixers, man. I felt pretty good about my Sixers for a couple of years now. I thought last year we could have caught lightning in a bottle, but with James Harden just coming and getting acclimated to us, I think we're pretty much, you know, without the Joel Embiid injury, you know, to the eye, I think we're pretty much maxed out what we could do last year. But I think we are pretty much doing exactly what I thought we could do right here, right now. I think Joel Embiid is definitely always in the sure conversation for MVP. James Harden is playing like the point guard that we needed. He may not be the James Harden in Houston, but that's not what we need. Tyrese Maxey is definitely forming into his second role. The number 2 role, which I'm loving, which also pushes down Tobias Harris, who's also a personal favorite of mine, but he's a guy, you know, that's more fitting of role for him, a little bit fourth down. But if he's the fourth guy down, I think that's a pretty good role for him to flourish and be very good, especially with our second unit. With that being said, man, I really love our chances to win the Eastern Conference, man.
So it's interesting. You mentioned Joel Embiid. His contemporary is doing some things. Now we all know, and I'm gonna throw this out there, that Joel dogged him on TV a couple weeks ago. Shout out to Joel. He dogged that man on TV.
Yes, he did.
The Joker is doing, as of right now, the Joker is averaging a triple-double.
Yeah. I can't look. If you're asking me who's better, I'm telling you, my man Joel Embiid is better. But you ain't got to argue me down enough like that. I know the Joker is a bad fucking man and all that. My man gave him 47 and like 18 on television. It was dunking all them step backs, all kind of shit. You know, but that was just one game. That was just one matchup. It was good to see a one-on-one matchup.
Those mean something. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I don't just say that because of who they are and how successful their teams are. Yeah. We just not gonna gloss over that. He busted his ass.
No. It means something. I mean, but we're talking about the top of the pop here. You feel what I'm saying? We're talking about the top of the food chain here. We're talking about, you know, Joel Embiid, Jokic, Luka Doncic, Antetokounmpo. All these guys are in the top tier talk for the best basketball player on earth, especially in the NBA right now. It just so happens that the 2-time defending, reigning MVP, who's been playing out of his fucking mind, also happens to play at the same position as my favorite basketball player currently, which is Joel Embiid, which makes the matchup of them going one-on-one exciting. But I cannot knock Jokic for anything that he's doing. I'm just going to go with my guy.
If he finishes the season averaging a triple-double, will he be the 3-time back-to-back MVP?
You know what, man? A homer pick. Nah, man. Fuck that. Fuck nah. Even though I get everything you're saying, even though I get what you're saying, and what he's doing, it would look like he was getting even better. He stepped this and let the record reflect they are now the #1 seed in the Western Conference. So it seems like when he gets better, his fucking team gets better. So let us not overlook that they're the #1 seed. With him getting better, they get better. So it's hard. It's hard for anybody to argue against him being a 3-time MVP winner. I can't argue against it. I'm just a Joel Embiid fan, and I'm like, damn, what the fuck does he have to do to get an MVP? But this man over here, Nikola Jokic, is not fucking making it easy on him, and he's not. And that's the part I love. He's not like, I don't give a fuck about who's out here. I'm fucking playing my game. Oh, you scoring 47? Let me just go average a triple fucking double.
But see, this is the classic example of when you say better, because on paper you say, wow, he's averaging a triple double. But my thing is this. I know you don't care about defense, and I know you say defense is overrated. I happen to not think that way.
Individual defense is overrated.
I just think that Joel Embiid's offensive production combined with his defensive presence, to me, outweighs just looking at it from one side of the ball. Some people, because a triple-double is not anything to sneeze at. It's only been done 4 times in NBA history by 2 guys. That's nothing to sneeze at, and never been done by an interior player. But that goes back to what we were saying before. I don't like just focusing, when I'm talking about better, I don't like focusing on one side of the basketball. Joel Embiid can affect the game on a defensive level more than the Joker can, because the Joel Embiid is not a liability on switches. He offers you that rim protection at the rim, at no matter what position it is. I weigh that pretty heavily. That's just me. Not taking anything away from the Joker. Now, with that being said, I know how this feat is going to be looked at. This feat is going to win him. If they maintain first place, they will win. He will win his 3rd straight MVP, putting him in the category of some very, very, very esteemed company. That's impressive. That's impressive. And that's 100% true. And guess what? LeBron takes the pressure off Joker, because nobody kills him for not winning the title while winning MVPs. The Joker ain't even sniffing no titles. The Joker ain't even been to a title. The Joker hasn't even been close to a title. But the level of expectation is a lot different. It's a lot different, which goes back to our discussion about expectations and pressure. The Joker doesn't have to deal with that pressure. Maybe, let's say, think about this. We're talking about a possible 3-time MVP who nobody's really saying, oh, man, he better win a title. He better win a title. We're only judging him on titles. He's not going to have to deal with that until maybe another year or 2 down the line. He's just not. He's not going to have to deal with that. Meanwhile, LeBron, who is 38, 39 years old, we're still expecting him to win championships. We're still expecting him to win championships.
That's the thing
right now.
But that's the thing about Jokic, though. I'm like, well, that conversation is kind of, I know in my mind it's changing. It has changed. I'm like, okay, well, the guy is great. I'm not hearing anybody telling me he's great. I see he's great. I see he's a great enough player to really affect their team's winning. And now I'm like, okay, well, now I'm looking at you in a different light. I am not saying anybody else is. I'm like, okay, now I need you to deliver. I need you to deliver, on not just, Denver Nuggets are known for as a juggernaut
Isn't
organization.
it a big time failure if you don't win a title this year in your eyes? Just like, is it
a big time failure? I'll
say this. I think it's more pressure on, let's say, a Jason Tatum than it is Nikola Jokic.
Yeah. And me, myself, I don't really understand why. I don't understand why. Because I'm like, okay, Nikola Jokic.
Let me explain that. I'll explain. Because I think the fact that Nikola Jokic hasn't even sniffed a finals appearance, you almost have it in the back of your mind, like maybe he just can't get there. Great individual player. But the fact that Jason Tatum has gone to Eastern Conference final after Eastern Conference final, sniffed the finals, you like, okay, well, the next step in the hierarchy, you got to get back and win it.
Right.
You got to win it.
And
I don't expect that out of Doncic. I don't expect Doncic to win no title. Jokic, I don't expect him to win a title.
Those guys, I'm like, okay, for Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, Joel Embiid, I now
don't
need
put that kind of pressure on Joel. I just don't.
Well, now here's the thing. I'm not saying pressure. I don't put pressure on them. But from what I'm saying, okay, well, look, those guys have been perennially in the top runnings for the best player in the league. Now I'm putting on you the same onus that we used to put on Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, KGs, when they were perennially the top players. I mean, the KDs, when they were perennially considered the top players in the league. And honestly, what Joel Embiid came in second twice. Nikola Jokic won it twice. Before that, Greek Freak won it twice, but he won the chip. You feel what I'm saying? Luka Doncic, everything and everybody. He's a great individual player. I'm like, okay, well now, in the same period in your careers when you were this great, and when LeBron and all these other guys were this great, we started bestowing and putting expectations around you guys, especially you, Nikola Jokic, two-time defending and playing like you're defending, playing like you're playing. You need to go a lot further, and you need to be a legitimate title contender this year. Now, like you say, how big of a failure is it, or does he need to win it this year? I ain't gonna say he needs to win it this year, but I would actually say for his MVPs and his individual play to be legitimized, he has to at least go to the chip, and he might have to play Jason Tatum and them. But I would much more like it to be him playing against my guys. And yeah, you feel what I'm saying? Yeah. But yeah, I'm putting that on them guys, man. Like you said, like why does LeBron say, "Oh, he always needs help"? All right, we need to put on these guys. Well, look, what are y'all doing? If LeBron needs help, y'all need to be doing more.
This is your chance.
This is your chance.
You know. Well, listen, man, it's been great. It's another Sunday down the Tuesday. I know we deviated from the football. We got an off week, so let's bring some basketball talk. Next week, back to the routine. Once again, live as always. Live. One Take Crew. Live. Let me reiterate. Live. We bring you live content. So next Sunday we will be back. It'll be Super Bowl Sunday. The euphoria will be back 100% for every football fan, not just Eagles and Chiefs fans, but for every football fan, because we got a game. It's bittersweet because that will be the last game, and we won't have anything football-wise from the standpoint of games to talk about, but there's always football action. We got the draft coming up, preparation leading into the draft. That's always big because now at this point, everybody's 0-0. Everybody's going to win the Super Bowl next year. That's the expectation. So next week we'll be back. We'll get hopefully we will have had enough time to really analyze the teams, get a feel for, how this game is going to go, and offer some insight in terms of the final score, and then get to enjoy the game. So once again, you could be anywhere in the world, but you're fucking with us, man. We appreciate it. We appreciate y'all rapping with us. Any of the guests, like I said, y'all could be doing anything, man, but to be busting it up, walking with us, breaking bread. And yeah, I will be here next Sunday with my shit on. That's what I do every Sunday. I might switch it up for y'all, man. Throw some basketball. I do have basketball shit, but that's typically summer shit. So you'll see me with the basketball shit in the summer. I would have been duking y'all out, but my boys stink. But it felt good beating Carolina's ass last night. Appreciate that. So I can wear my Duke shit again. I was feeling some kind of way. But yeah, we'll be back next week, man. It's your boy Coach, my man Fresco, man. We out. We love y'all. Peace. It's the experience. Black culture.
Peace.
Love y'all.
We live at the Fire and Ice podcast, man, and it's certain moments that you have when you do these things, and I think it's more the moment.
These guys came from Woodland, Delaware.
Where was you from?
Now,
from the
who's
east
fighting
side.
right now? Who's fighting right now? Who's fighting right
side.
now? Who's Let me see him. Let me see him. Let me see him. Let me see him.
Listen, man, it's your boy